So, welcome to Marketing 670 session 8. And today I'm going to be talking about positioning and the brand pyramid, kind of giving you a sense of how you now you start from the segmentation and positioning that we've talked about in previous sessions, meaning segmentation again being what are all the groups out there, and targeting being which group am I going to talk to. The sort of heart of this STP analysis and sort of what drives the strategy is, now that I've chosen who I want to talk to, I need to really understand what it is that I want to talk to them about. And fundamentally, marketing is all about solving a problem. In other words, if the customer or consumer does not have a problem to solve, they are going to be very unlikely to spend any dollars on paying you for the product that you've come up with. So one of the things that's really, really interesting and important to understand is this idea of pain points. And you may have heard this term before, but pain points fundamentally are the idea of where is it in the customer or consumer's life that there's a problem, there's pain, there's something that's difficult to deal with, where we as marketers can develop a product and proposition that is going to help solve that problem in a way that is valuable enough that people will give you dollars in exchange. So one of the things that's really helpful to understand this idea of pain points is to use something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow was a psychologist, and he essentially laid out this idea that there is a hierarchy of needs that need to be met essentially in order, sort of moving up this ladder that you see on the left here. And if the bottom needs are not met first, then there's no point in talking about the higher needs. And what I mean by that is the first rung of this hierarchy, if you will, is called physiological needs. These are things like air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. These are things that are just fundamental. And if we can't do these things, nothing else really matters. If you are starving, safety is not necessarily your most important concern because you need to eat, right? If we move up the ladder to safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property, do I feel safe? If you don't feel safe, things at the higher level, like love and belonging, aren't going to matter as much to you. Sort of extreme example, in a war-torn area, you're not worried so much as about, what social groups you're belonging to. You're worried about those physiological needs. Can I get my food and water and so forth? And you're worried about those safety needs. And if those things aren't met, I really can't talk to you about love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization, all these higher order things, because you are too focused on much more fundamental needs. If you move up the ladder, you get to this idea of love and belonging. This is friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. People want, if their physiological needs are met and their safety needs are met, they want to feel like they are part of a community. They want to feel like they are part of a group. They want to feel that is sort of an essential sort of human psychological need to feel like we are loved and that we belong. We can move up the next step of the ladder and talk about this idea of esteem. So am I respected? Do I feel good about myself? Do I have status? Do I get recognition? Do I feel, that I have strength and power and impact? And do I have freedom? That's the sense of esteem. Again, if your physiological needs, safety needs, and love and belonging needs are not met, you don't really care so much about, respect and self-esteem, because you are still too worried about those other pain points. The next level up is self-actualization. This is the desire to become the most that one can be. How can I, reach, sort of achieve the pinnacle of, what it is that I, feel like I'm sort of destined to be in life? Am I having an impact on sort of a global impact on the world, etc.? So positioning this on the left, which is really focused on consumer needs, is kind of the art of figuring out where is the pain that our customer or consumer, in this case consumer, is feeling, right? If they need just to eat food, something that's nutritious and low cost and whatever, I'm gonna talk to them a very different way than if I am talking about love and belonging. So let's take the example of Oreo cookies for a second. We've talked about Oreo cookies before. Oreo cookies, you could argue, are meeting a physiological need, but they are really not a food that you need to solve the problem of hunger, right? Like, you don't need Oreos in your life. You need food in your life, but Oreos is not a food that you need. So what is it that where is it that Oreo is positioning or being positioned? And really, I would argue that it is that love and belonging level, right? Is that, parents give their kids Oreos, and that, a food that kids love, that it's a sweet treat and whatever, because they are trying to demonstrate to their kids this sense of love and belonging. And in return, when the parents buy those Oreos for people, they feel loved and in return, right? They can, it's a way of sort of actualizing the sense of I love my kids and my kids love me. Disney, I think we've talked about it a little bit before as well, probably plays again in that sense of love and belonging, and that sense of family, etc. Nike is all about just do it and achieving your potential. Nike is not about love and belonging. It's about self-actualization. How do I get to, sort of the highest pinnacle of what I can be, right? So when I talk about positioning, that's what I'm talking about. Different brands are playing at different levels of this hierarchy of needs, based on sort of the pain point that they're solving, right? Oreo cookies are not solving the pain point of I'm hungry, I'm starving, I need food. Oreo cookies are solving the problem of I want my kids to feel loved and feel that they love me in return, right? Disney, again, not a physiological need, not a safety need, is a love and belonging need. It's a sense of family, the sense of I bring my kids to Disney and they feel like I love them, and I feel like I'm able to offer them this amazing experience or whatever. Esteem, as an example. So if we talk to just sort of hit on, we talked about Nike at self-actualization. We talked about Disney and Oreo for love and belonging. And esteem, an esteem sort of example might be a Gucci bag or a Mercedes car, right? That is a Gucci bag is not self-actualization. That's not about the most I can be, but it is also not about love and belonging. It's about status. It's about recognition, that when people see me carrying that Gucci bag, or when people see me driving that Mercedes or whatever, that I get, I feel that I get a certain amount of respect. Like, people look at me and go, oh, that person must be successful. So that's what's meant by esteem. Safety needs would be, things that keep us secure. I don't know, antivirus software that protects our computers, alarm systems that protect people's homes, right? Again, if you feel like your house isn't safe, that you are going to get robbed, or that somebody's going to break into your house or whatever, and that you aren't safe, that is an overriding need that you need to solve, really, in some ways, before you solve needs of love and belonging. So, and then physiological needs. This is probably more, this is like I would argue that a supermarket, like Stop and Shop here in New England, solves more of a is really about physiological needs. I'm at a place where I can shop and get the basics that I need to feed myself and my family. Um, uh, so in many ways, you can come up with and consider brands that play at every different level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and where they play, what their message is, what they are talking about, um, is what is meant by positioning, right? And the positioning is always developed in response to a specific, again, pain point that falls on this hierarchy. On the right hand side, not so Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a very well known structure. I put this on the right hand side, a sort of business hierarchy of needs. So you have a consumer hierarchy of needs. You can imagine that you can use the same kind of logic when you're doing business to business sales, but that the needs of businesses are very different, obviously, than the needs of consumers. So the diagram on the right isn't necessarily it's not as famous and well known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it was a diagram that I found that sort of looked at the problem from the same perspective, and created a sort of hierarchy of needs for businesses. So the first thing that you need if you are a business is sales. If you don't have sales, nothing else matters. So you are not going to be worried about your company's legacy if you can't get anybody to pay you money for your product. So you need to solve that. The next one up is profit. All right. So I'm making sales, but if I'm not selling those sales, if those aren't profitable, I'm not actually making any money on it. I'm paying out as much as I'm coming in. That's almost as bad of a problem as the sales problem, right? I mean, the sales problem is a bigger problem, right? Because if there's no money coming in, there's no way I'm going to make a profit. But the next level of this is if I am not profitable, I'm not going to last very long, right? I have money coming in, but it's just covering my expenses and it's going out. I'm not going to make it very far. The next level is, after profit, is order. You can see sort of on the side there, you've got sort of some notes, right? It talks about sales is, do I have cash coming in? Do I have profits? Am I stable? Can I keep this business going? Order is about, am I efficient, right? So now that I've got money coming in and it's coming in a profitable way, that I'm actually going to keep some of that money, I'm going to start thinking about, how do I make my business more productive? How can I get more, how can I get more out of less? How do I get less cost and more profit? So this would be things like, am I going to use software that allows me to hire fewer people but have more customers, and those kinds of things, right? In this diagram, it sort of talks about those first three is, what do I get as a business, right? I need sales, I need process, I need order. It's only then that we get to this idea of impact. Like, what is my company doing in the world, right? What is it, what impact am I having? Am I, making the world better in some way? And that is important in businesses, especially bigger, but like, so Disney is like, am I, sort of thinks about like, am I bringing sort of magic to the world? Am I connecting families? Am I doing something that I believe in and that I feel like is a valuable mission, that I can bring to the world? And when I have that valuable mission, I can attract employees better. I can, get investors sort of excited about what I'm doing and so forth. So that's what impact is about. So this is about, if you look at the diagram, the first three are about give or get. These last two are about, what am I giving to the world? And the last one is the legacy. This is a creation of permanence, is the note there is. What is it that this is? So I'm making money, I'm profitable, I'm efficient, I'm doing something that is valuable in the world. Now the question is, can I sustain this for a long time? there are companies like Coca-Cola or, whatever, the Hershey company, where they're 100 years old, right? How can I create something that's going to last and going to deliver on a legacy? And this really gets tied into the sense of like, what is the purpose of this company? What is its long-term view? Why is it doing what it's doing? That goes far beyond just the exact, things that it's selling and so forth. And how is this company going to grow and impact the world, not just now, but 10, 20, 50, or 100 years from now? So businesses, just like consumers on the left, businesses have pain points on the right. And if you are a company that is going to serve businesses, you need to think about these pain points that companies have. So how do I help companies get more sales? So this would be marketing agencies or HubSpot or whatever. How do I help people with their sales? How do I help people make more profit? This might be sort of how do I, decreasing costs, providing, a cheaper raw ingredients and so forth. The next part of order, how do I create efficiency in the business? Software solutions, enterprise, sort of systems that help make, HR systems or whatever that help make hiring and paying and giving benefits to your people easier and so forth. So different business to businesses are playing at different rungs, right? Impact might be, and legacy tend to be sort of more internal things, but they are looking to agencies or partners and so forth to work with them and help build that impact, those legacies, et cetera. Maybe it's a nonprofit that you're working with or something like that. So that's the idea of pain points and how it connects with positioning, right? You're finding a pain point that the consumer has, and you're positioning yourself against that pain point in order to deliver on one of these needs. So positioning is based on human, or in the case of the other side of the page, business needs and wants. And effective positioning focuses on solving the problem of an unmet need, right? The best positionings are where there is a need in the market, but no one else is delivering on that need. So a lot of the positioning work that companies do is not just what's the problem, but how do I define a problem in such a way that I can come in with a solution where I'm the only person that really has that unique solution to this problem. Or so the more I can define the problem in a unique way, the easier it is for me to come up with a solution that is unique and harder for other people to compete with. So this hierarchy of needs leads to the idea of a brand pyramid. So the brand pyramid sort of takes that hierarchy of needs and sort of flips it on its head and says, what does the brand offer to people? What is the brand, what is sort of the parts of the brand or the product? What is it offering to people? So now that I've sort of defined the pain point I solve, now I'm going to talk about how do I solve that problem? And I start out at the bottom of this pyramid, what's called the brand pyramid, with core functionality. This is the products and services offered by the brand. This is the features that those products have. Does it have, buttons, or does it have certain apps, or whatever it is? Those features, those specific actual things that you are getting, the physical objects or the software features or whatever that you get, that's what's meant by core functionality. Also, even how the customer accesses the product or service. Is it online? Is it a physical object? Whatever it is. The next thing we do then is we move up that ladder to rational benefits. This is the tangible benefits that the brand offers above and beyond what its consumers offer, its competitors offer. So what is it that is, clearly differentiates what this product offers versus another product offers, right? This could be lower price. This could be convenience. This could be speed. This could be quality. Those are called rational benefits because they are essentially benefits that are based in the product itself or the offering itself. If you move up the ladder, the next thing you get to in a brand ladder is the emotional benefits. How does the product make the customer feel when they are interacting with the brand, right? So, so for example, the emotional benefit of Disney is bringing me closer to my family. The emotional benefit of Oreo, as we talked about on the previous slide, might be it makes my family feel loved. Or it makes me feel like I am doing nice things for my family or whatever. That's the emotional benefit. What this is really sort of the emotional pain point that we are solving. The next level up is the personality. What sort of brand are we? These are adjectives and phrases that personify the brand. Again, I'll use Disney as, you might say Disney is magical. It is, you might say that Oreos are fun. You might say that, Microsoft is very efficient. Whereas you might say that Apple is very innovative, right? That's what was meant by the brand personality. The next level up after personality is the brand essence. And there's some different pieces of the essence. The essence sort of breaks down into a couple pieces. One piece of the essence is what we call the vision. What is the purpose of our brand in the world, right? This is a purpose that goes beyond the product itself, right? An example of a vision for Nike is to help people achieve their potential. Notice I didn't say anything about sneakers. I didn't say anything about, athletic wear. I just said they're helping people achieve their potential, right? Their mission is how are they going to deliver on that? So using Nike as an example again, I might say, oh, I'm going to deliver this by delivering or by offering athletic apparel and equipment that helps people achieve their best in the athletic activities that they do, right? That would be a mission. And then the core values also go into the brand essence. These are sort of non-negotiables, right? The things that are like, we, as a brand, we believe in, we believe that, our athletes only deserve the very best, sort of quality of equipment and so forth that allows them to achieve their potential. That's a kind of core value, something that we're not willing to negotiate. When you build the brand pyramid for a brand and you've sort of thought through, you understand your pain point and you've built this brand pyramid, from this, you can sort of figure out, where do I want to position my brand? Do I want to talk about core functionality? Some brands talk about just, they'll just talk about like, this product has the fastest, high, has all these features, right? I shouldn't say fastest because that would be a rational benefit, but this product has lots of features. Here is a phone with a really large screen, right? That would be a positioning around a core functionality. Whereas a rational benefit is might be something like this delivers the highest speed, or this delivers the highest quality experience, or this is the most convenient restaurant to go to. That would be a rational benefit. And an emotional benefit would be, this is a restaurant that makes you feel at home. This is a restaurant that makes you feel like you are family. That's an emotional benefit. So typically when you're trying to figure out where I'm going to position my brand, you have to figure out where on this brand pyramid makes the most sense to deliver a message that sort of ties you back to that, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or that business hierarchy of needs. You have to figure out, so you're going to lay all this out. So you're saying, this is what my brand, before I was saying, what is it that consumers and customers are looking for? In this case, I'm trying to say, what does my brand deliver? And so now that I've got this all laid out, now is when I decide what is my positioning. That is, where on this ladder am I going to focus? Am I going to focus on core functionality? Am I going to focus on rational benefits? Or am I going to focus on emotional benefits? In some very strong, I can't think of any brand that really focuses only on personality. That would be fairly unusual. But there are brands that I would say that play at the essence level of the pyramid, in the sense that they are focused on talking about mission and vision. I'll give a couple of, Patagonia might fall up there, right? Nike, you could argue, is actually gone beyond an emotional benefit, and is sort of up at this sort of brand essence, like I'm trying to help people achieve their potential. You could argue that they're playing up there. Definitely not. Just Do It is definitely not a core functionality or a rational benefit. You could sort of argue that it's emotional benefit, but it actually is probably more about talking about their purpose in the world. There's a brand that maybe some of you know of, lots of t-shirts and so forth out there, called Life is Good. The Life is Good brand, I would say, is playing at a brand essence level. They're not selling. What they're selling is t-shirts, right? But what they're really selling is this idea that they are, like, we're spreading this, optimism in the world. So the brand pyramid is really a very valuable tool for sort of laying out all of the the way that the brand, what the brand has to offer to the world, and then it gives you an opportunity to kind of think through where, given the problem that we solve and the moment that we're in right now, with our brand, and the problem that the problem that we want to focus on right now to help our brand grow, how do we position the brand? Now, I will say, to that point, positioning changes over time, right? Typically, brand new brands that nobody's ever heard of start down lower on the pyramid, core functionality. Whereas as over time, as people get to know your brand and sort of understand what your brand is, and love that brand and trust that brand, they will move up that ladder and move more towards rational benefits and then emotional benefits. There are times where something going on out in the world says, hey, there's a really huge opportunity right now in the market, if you focus on rational benefits. So you could even imagine a brand that sometimes plays at the emotional level coming and shifting their focus to a more rational benefit because of what's going on in the world or what consumers are looking for. So that's the brand pyramid and how it ties to positioning. So what I thought I would focus on in my sort of slide about my own experience was grocery stores. So I've mentioned before that for a while I worked for a company called Ahold, which is the parent of Stop and Shop, the grocery chain in New England, and sort of New York and New Jersey. But in Massachusetts, if you look at Stop and Shop, it competes with many other grocery stores. Market Basket, Wegmans, Aldi, Trader Joe's, Star Market, and Whole Foods are some examples of the types of supermarkets that you find in Massachusetts. They all are positioned differently. And this is why so many grocery store options can exist in the market, because of this ability to sort of think about the pain points that consumers have and build a proposition, a store around that pain point. Market Basket, I would say, is about no frills, very low cost, shopping. If you've ever been to a market basket, I mean, this is like old school. It seems like they run it the same way they probably did in like 1950. They have some of the lowest prices around. It is like there's no bells and whistles. It is just, a very frugal, supermarket for people who are looking for that. I just want to go someplace where I can get, my groceries. I want to be able to get everything I wanted to be at a low price. And there are people who are just huge fans of Market Basket, because that's what they care about most. I've talked about Stop and Shop before. Stop and Shop, I would say, is a little bit tricky because they have not done a great job historically of positioning themselves. Once upon a time, Stop and Shop was a really like sort of a convenient one-stop shop to get all your good quality groceries for a good price. Not the same as Market Basket, where it's just like just going to do cheap groceries. This is good quality groceries for a good price. That's what it was. But over time, that's been eroded as we'll talk about Wegmans and Aldi and Trader Joe's and so forth have come into the market. So I would argue that right now, Stop and Shop's positioning, for better or for worse, is probably something like we're convenient and acceptable, which is not a good positioning, by the way, to have, right? It's sort of playing in that rational benefit area, but in a way that really isn't defensible. Other people can, basically, what we used to hear in focus groups was if there were a Wegmans next to the Stop and Shop, people would go to the Wegmans. But because the Wegmans is 40 minutes away and the Stop and Shop is right next door, I'm going to go to a Stop and Shop. Not a great positioning for longevity. And interestingly, Stop and Shop last year was closing stores and things like that. So they are feeling that challenge. Wegmans is interesting. If you've never been to a Wegmans, and I talked about this in a previous lesson. Wegmans is really a store all about sort of produce theater, if you will. This is about positioning around a satisfying shopping experience. One of the things that's really important to think about with retail is retail stores offering is not the product. The retail store offering is the shopping experience. And so for Wegmans, it's like, we are going to deliver to you a satisfying sort of almost entertaining, I call it produce theater or fresh food theater or whatever experience. So I go in there and I'm just excited to see all the fresh foods, all the bakery items, all the stuff that just makes me sort of inspired about what am I going to, get for dinner or whatever. And I might be willing to pay a little bit more to go to a Wegmans if it helps inspire me to figure out something, that is going to be great for dinner, that people, the family's going to love, and that I'm going to feel good about. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for that. Or even more is there are many people who are just huge fanatics of Wegmans who will travel like, an extra 20 minutes because they want that experience. So even if the price isn't necessarily as different from Stop and Shop, it may be that that they're willing to actually invest more time. Aldi, for those of you who are familiar with Aldi, was a European chain that's come into the US. You could say similar to Market Basket because it is a very, sort of frugal, low price value. But what's different about Aldi is very limited assortment. You can't get everything you want at an Aldi. You just get whatever they've got there. But whatever they've got there is going to be a really good price. And they also have this thing where they often have like sort of this weird kind of treasure hunt thing. Like in the middle of the store, there might be selling, I don't know, whatever, weed whackers or rice cookers or something at a very, very cheap price. So their whole thing is we're going to offer very limited assortment at a very, but everything in the store is going to be low price. So a lot of people love Aldi because it's sort of almost like a treasure hunt kind of experience. And they go in there and they get all the stuff they can get at Aldi, and then they'll go to someplace else to fill in the stuff that maybe they couldn't find or where they wanted a specific brand. Trader Joe's is a, sort of an interesting, player because what they're basically doing is offering, I always think about it as if you go into a Trader Joe's, there's all these sort of interesting prepared foods and frozen foods and sort of offerings, but they're all private label, meaning they're all Trader Joe's brands and they are especially made for Trader Joe's. They're often sort of knockoffs of other things, but it's almost like a place. I think of it as like for young professionals to be able to get the things that they're really interested in, the types of foods, the interesting flavors, etc., at a price that's reasonable. Whereas if they went to say a Whole Foods or a Wegmans, they might not be able to afford it. Star Market, I won't spend a lot of time on. I would say Star Market is basically the same as Stop and Shop. It's convenient and it's okay. And then the last one, of course, is Whole Foods. So this Whole Foods is a grocery store that's built around this idea of people who are looking for sort of healthier, organic, better for you foods. And it is designed, and people know that the prices at Whole Foods are higher. My point here, again, in showing this whole grouping of supermarkets is to make the point that you can have lots of supermarkets in the same market as long as they are solving a different pain point that is designed to attract a specific customer or a specific consumer. And because they are designed around different consumers or the same consumer that need, looking for a different need, they can all sort of coexist. They compete with each other, but they also offer something unique, so that when you go to a Whole Foods versus a Market Basket, you're getting something different. And so if what you're looking for is cheap and no frills, you're going to go to Market Basket. Whereas if you're looking for something that's healthy, you're going to go to Whole Foods. And that's why, by the way, you sometimes have people, and my family is no exception, that shop in multiple different stores depending on what they're looking for. So to summarize, marketing and brand strategy focuses on defining what the brand is and is not, and how that translates into marketing execution. Different brands focus on different levels of the pyramid in their positioning. And the strongest brands, as I mentioned before, tend to focus higher up on that pyramid and focus on sort of higher order needs, and they are able to command higher prices. So I would argue like Wegmans and Whole Foods sort of are playing at a higher level than say Market Basket and Stop and Shop.